Now, the one thing I can say that auto rifles just damn near felt great. Now, I like to say I love auto rifles, but the one thing I say that they had very good control on their recoil, and the one thing that really blew my mind was that they were great in range for the range that they had. Now, the one complaint I had for Destiny 1 was that the range was just not enough because it just couldn't compete even in close combat, which was at a time, that they worked on it on Destiny 1, but it's just still just not right. But in this Destiny 2 beta, I can say they felt fantastic for the range and for the stability that they had. Even the exotic one, the sweet business, ooh, that sweet business, that damn near felt great for an auto rifle. Now, moving along, talking about automatic guns, let's talk about the SMG or the submachine gun. Now, to me, early on, I did not like them, but as I got to figure out how to actually use them, the one thing that stood out to me were that they lacked in range and they lacked in stability, but damn near would tear that ass up in close combat. That was the one thing that stood out to me, that they had so much DPS and close combat that they were used as finishers or would just be as initial weapons that you would use in close combat. Speaking of close combat sidearms, now the one thing I can say, they're in the same categories as SMGs, but I just can say unfortunately I did not get to play with them a lot, and I don't have any recordings because some of my recordings got deleted or just were corrupted at the time when I was shooting for my for my sidearms. But the one thing I can say for sidearms that I just did not like them. I did not like the feel of them. They didn't feel as strong as the ones in Destiny 1 because I already know like I said, they just did not, I just didn't find a place for them for my playstyle. But I can say I found people that were able to use them. But the thing is, you have to always aim for the head for these things. If you want to kill somebody, one thing, shoot them in the head. And speaking of shooting someone in the head, I gotta move on to hand cannons. I can say that the hand cannons really must have not put a good impression on me because I almost forgot to put them into the review. Thank God for post-production. Now with hand cannons, it's always about placing your shots. And to me, I just did not feel comfortable enough to say that when shooting a hand cannon or any of the three hand cannons, the Minuet, the Better Devils, and the Sunshot, I felt as though that I was at the disadvantage every time I shot one. Now my problem, I felt as though when using these hand cannons that I just could not land my headshots. I don't know if it was with me, with my eyes looking at the dot or trying to make that aim. It just seems as though that I was primarily shooting body shots, which is going to lead to me dying quicker than anybody else. But at the same time, it was more of a great pickup weapon as a secondary weapon like a sidearm. When trying to shoot at your maximum rate of fire with these hand cannons, you're going to be dealing with a lot of bloom, which is something that's already in Destiny 1. But at the same time, it just felt as though that if you really want to annihilate a enemy quickly, you're going to have to really pace your shots. And in this fast-paced, slow-paced game, as I'm going to call it for PvP, I can say that the hand cannons weren't the best for me. So with hand cannons, I might have to just say I'm gonna bid them adieu until the full game. Because if I can find myself a better hand cannon until then, when the full game comes out, then that'll be great. But right now, all three of the hand cannons that was in this beta were all under the same impact rate hand cannons. So my only thing I can say right now, I'm gonna have to bid them adieu because they all damn near felt the same to me, even though each one had their own small perks to them. But right now, I need to find a better hand cannon that's going to be suited for my playstyle. So let's go on and talk about pulse rifles. Woo boy, pulse rifles. Now I can say they felt great all around. From mid-combat to close combat, they damn near felt great. For pulse rifles, I can say I played with both the Nurgle and the Nightshade, and they both felt fantastic. But it was a few times that I felt as though that I knew either my shot was off or something, but at the same time, for both of the pulse rifles, they damn near felt great. I even ran a double pulse rifle build early on throughout the week of the beta with my Warlock, and I was ripping heads off. Now, the one thing that stood out to me for these pulse rifles, that a lot of people were using these pulse rifles. Now, that is saying something that a lot of people that were magnetized towards pulse rifles and were killing a lot of people with pulse rifles. But like I said, that they felt as though that they were some of the best weapons, solid weapons in this game that could get the job done and pretty much were fantastic. Lastly, out of the primary weapons, we have scout rifles. Now, they came in two flavors of Does Not Compute, which was a hard-hitting scout rifle, and the Black Scorpion, which was a fast-shooting automatic, which I did not know at the time when I was playing with it, automatic scout rifle. Now for me, I am coming here with a bias because I love scout rifles in Destiny 1. If you look at my profile, boom, you'll see a lot of scout rifle kills because that's the most used weapon I have in PvP and PvE in Destiny 1. And here on the other hand, I can just tell you that both of these scout rifles just did not hit the mark for me. They just did not feel right. In PvE, they just did not hit as hard as I wanted them to. Even the hardest hitting one that Does Not Compute just did not hit hard enough for me. And the Black Scorpion, I just felt as though I'm shooting a pea shooter to some of these enemies. And in PvP, I just felt as though that it just could not compete with some of the better shooting weapons like the pulse rifles and the auto rifles. I just did not feel as though they could compete. Now, I've seen videos that they could. I just can tell you, for me personally, they just did not feel good. So I might not have a lot of footage of these daggone guns in action, but at the same time, I can say that I love myself some scout rifles, and at the same time, I hope that Bungie somehow makes a fix or somewhere in between makes them feel good like Destiny 1. Now let's move on to power weapons. For the first power weapon I'm going to talk about is the rocket launcher. Well, the only thing I can say about rocket launchers is that they're powerful and it can either kill you or heavily damage an enemy. And, the favorite motto for rocket launchers is shoot it and forget it. So rocket launchers. Next would be the grenade launcher. And all I can say is nope. The one reason I can say in particular for me, just like the Sunbreaker's swords, is the trajectory on the projectile for the grenade launcher. That I just say it just did not feel right. But the thing is, it can one-shot an enemy in PvP, but it just was bad when used against quick moving enemies and at the same time enemies in the air. Now, if you are a good shot, go ahead, use the grenade launcher, but I am going to stay clear of that until I can feel as though that I can find one that actually suits my playstyle. Next would be the shotguns. Now, I can say the shotgun that they had on the beta almost felt as good as a Destiny 1 shotgun before the nerfs. But they felt good enough that I could say I would actually use them if I found myself going to be fighting in a much narrow space in close combat areas, because I love myself some daggone close combat. Next I can say is the sniper rifle. For me, in PvE, it did not feel as powerful as a sniper rifle should. When dealing with heavy enemies, it did not feel great, and in PvP, I just wasn't interested enough to be able to use it because I know I got an alright shot, but I am no damn sniper. So I do not have gameplay for the sniper rifle on my account. Now let's move on to the pièce de résistance, which is fusion rifles. Quick side note, I was unable to get my hands on the Tarantula, which is a linear fusion rifle, which can enable you to one-shot somebody with a headshot with a fusion rifle bolt. Now for the other fusion rifle, which is a regular fusion rifle, I can say the main ingredient fusion rifle, oh my gosh, this thing was awesome. When I say this thing was damn good, it was damn good. So I can say I was and never was a fusion rifle guy in Destiny 1. Now, the only thing I can say that I was never a guy to ever use a fusion rifle in PvP in Destiny 1. The only time I ever really used and mainly used a fusion rifle was for burns, and that was with the Telesto fusion rifle in Destiny 1. But in PvP for Destiny 2's beta, this fusion rifle was by far the best used heavy weapon in this game. I mean, I seen people using it, but at the same time, I loved, and I mean love using this fusion rifle, the main ingredient. And the one thing I can say, if they don't nerf it from this beta and put it into the full game, I'm all for it for this one weapon, the daggone main ingredient. And there are probably better ones out there, but this main ingredient, woo boy, that thing was awesome. If you haven't seen part 1 of my late ash review for the Destiny 2 beta, then go over to the first option, which is part 1, where we talk about the subclasses and abilities. But if you're interested in continuing the series of my late ash review, then go over to part 3, where I talk about PvP and PvE.